Maroon Town, St. James. A small, quiet community tucked away in the hills of western Jamaica. The kind of place where everyone knows everyone, where farmers wake before sunrise, and children play in the yard until dark. But out of this town came a man whose name would one day send chills through the parishes of St. James and St. Elizabeth alike. A man who allegedly led a gang of extortionists, walked into a quiet community, and executed 4 innocent farmers in cold blood. Then years later vanished from a police lockup as if he was never even there. Today we look at the life and crimes of Anward Hinds, known on the street as Kirkie, a man who, as of today, is still out there somewhere, still wanted, and still free. To understand how Kirkie got to where he is, you have to understand where he came from. He came up in the orbit of one of the most feared criminal organizations in Jamaican history, the Stone Crusher Gang. For years, the Stone Crusher Gang was a name that made law enforcement in Western Jamaica sweat. Based primarily out of St. James, the gang controlled marginalized communities with an iron fist, using extreme violence to eliminate rivals and extort residents across the region. Their methods were not subtle. They killed with brutality and precision. Beheadings, military-style executions, direct confrontations with police. The Stone Crusher Gang did it all, and they did it openly. The gang went through several leaders over the years. Men like Cedric Doggy Murray, Eldon Calvert, and Michael Lassie Forbes, each of them eventually meeting a violent end. But even as the top figures fell, the gang did not simply disappear. It fractured, splintered, and spread, with remnants of the once powerful outfit drifting into the hills and rural communities of neighboring parishes, carrying their extortion rackets with them. It was from this toxic environment that Anward Kirkie Hines allegedly emerged. Police believed he was associated with a splinter faction of the Stone Crusher Gang, a smaller but still dangerous outfit that had broken away and set up operations in the agricultural belt on the border of St. James and St. Elizabeth. These men, according to investigators, were not running drugs or robbing banks. They were targeting farmers, hard-working, rural Jamaicans who woke up every morning to tend their crops and livestock. The gang allegedly moved into communities like Ginger Hill, Pisgah, and Claremont in northern St. Elizabeth and began extorting the farmers in those areas, demanding money with the implicit threat of violence if anyone refused to pay. For a farming community that was already struggling with predial larceny and poverty, this was a nightmare on top of a nightmare. The police in St. Elizabeth had been watching these communities for some time. They had already theorized, even before the events of May 2015, that gang members connected to the Stone Crusher network in St. James were responsible for a series of murders in the Ginger Hill, Pisgah, and Claremont areas. By the time 2015 arrived, investigators were linking the group to multiple killings in the wider Claremont district. A man killed in October of the previous year, another in November, and a woman shot dead on Christmas Day. The body count was already climbing, and the community was gripped by fear. People knew who was doing it. People knew why. But in communities like these, silence is survival, and so few spoke openly about what was happening in their backyards. Then came the night of Wednesday, May 27th, 2015, a night that would shake the nation and put Anward Kirkie Hines' name on the front page of every major newspaper in Jamaica, in the community of Ginger Hill, in the Claremont area of northern St. Elizabeth. 4 men had gathered at the shop owned by 73-year-old Ezra Wright. It was an ordinary evening. The men were doing what people in rural Jamaica do to unwind, playing dominoes. Around the table sat Ezra Wright himself, 73 years old and well known in the community for his refusal to be silenced. He had been repeatedly and vocally critical of the extortionists terrorizing his community. He had spoken out when others kept their mouths shut. Also at that table were brothers Archibald Brown, 61, and George Brown, 58, along with their neighbor Morris Sanderson, 41, from Ginger Hill. These were not criminals. These were farmers, brothers, fathers, neighbors, men who had done nothing except live and work in the wrong community at the wrong time. Sometime after 8 o'clock that Wednesday night, a group of armed men descended on the shop. What happened next was swift and merciless. The gunmen opened fire on the 4 men inside. Ezra Wright, the man who had refused to be silenced, was shot 15 times. Archibald Brown was shot 9 times. George Brown and Morris Sanderson were also shot multiple times. Morris Sanderson, who apparently tried to flee, was gunned down a few meters away from the shop by the fleeing attackers. When police arrived at the scene, they found 4 men dead and a community completely traumatized. Police Commissioner Dr. Carl Williams himself visited the crime scene the very next day, a clear signal that the state understood the gravity of what had happened in that little farming community. He announced on the spot that a special joint task force comprising officers from St. James, St. Elizabeth, and Kingston had been assembled specifically to hunt down those responsible. Within days of the killings, the police had a clear picture of who they were looking for. Deputy Superintendent of Police Paul Bernard, the operations officer for St. Elizabeth, publicly named 2 prime suspects. The first was Anward Hinds, also called Kirkie and Kirk Hines, from the Claremont district. The second was his associate, Denham Campbell, also known as Popsy, also from Claremont. Police said both men frequently moved between Claremont and St. Elizabeth, and the Flankers and Norwood communities in St. James confirmed Stone Crusher territory. Investigators said Kirkie and Popsy were not just suspects in the quadruple murder of that Wednesday night. They believed the 2 men were responsible for at least 3 other murders earlier that same year in the wider Claremont area, bringing the total number of killings connected to the pair to at least 9. 9 lives, 9 families shattered, all allegedly in the service of an extortion racket targeting farmers who had nothing to give. Kirkie did not wait around to be caught. He ran, but the task force the commissioner had promised was already moving. Officers from multiple divisions combed through the hills, communities, and contacts connected to the wanted men. Then in July 2015, barely 2 months after the quadruple killing, police tracked Anward Hinds to a house in Hatfield, in the parish of Manchester. When they got there, Kirkie wasn't standing in the yard, arms sitting at a table waiting. He was hiding in the ceiling of the house, crammed into the dark space above the building, hoping the police would pass. They did not pass. They found him up there and pulled him out. It was a massive operation, and it was a significant win for law enforcement, especially given how many lives had allegedly been lost to his activities. With Kirkie now in custody, the legal process began. He was charged in relation to the quadruple murders of Ezra Wright, Archibald Brown, George Brown, and Morris Sanderson. He also faced a separate 4-count indictment before the St. Elizabeth Circuit Court connected to an earlier incident, a shooting on January 19, 2015, in Breadnut Walk, St. Elizabeth, where it was alleged there had been a confrontation with several police officers. So Kirkie was not just facing one serious charge. He was facing 2 separate sets of charges from 2 separate 2015 incidents, and both were serious enough to guarantee that if convicted, he would never breathe free air again for a very long time. He was held in the Black River Police Station lockup in St. Elizabeth as his cases made their way through the justice system. But the justice system moved slowly. Painfully slowly. Year after year, the trials were delayed. By the time 2023 rolled around, 8 years had passed since those 4 farmers were shot dead in Ginger Hill, and Kirkie's murder trial had still not begun. His attorney, Thomas Levine, told the Jamaica Observer that his client had been complaining bitterly in court about the length of time it has taken for his matter to be tried. Levine said Kirkie had been ready for trial all along, but that delays connected to co-accused persons kept pushing the matter back. It was only after persistent complaints from both the accused and his lawyer that the murder trial was finally scheduled as a priority matter. Set to begin July 3rd, 2023. The shooting incident at Breadnut Walk was also scheduled for priority trial on November 22nd, 2023. It seemed like, finally, after nearly a decade, justice for those four farmers was within reach. Then came the morning of Monday, June 19th, 2023. Staff at the Black River Police Station lockup conducted a routine cell check at 6 o'clock in the morning. What they found, or rather, what they did not find, sent shockwaves through the St. Elizabeth Police Division and then the entire country. 8 inmates were gone. The cell was empty where 8 men had been sleeping. How did they get out? According to reports, the inmates had managed to cut through the metal bars at the window of their cell, using what a police source described as what had to be a machine because of how cleanly the bars were cut. Other reports pointed to the facility's ventilation system as part of how the escape was executed. Whichever way you look at it, the men had planned this carefully. They had a tool, they had a method, and with only one cell guard for over 60 prisoners, they had the time. Sometime between late Sunday night and early Monday morning, Anward Hinds and 7 other high-risk inmates walked out of the Black River lockup and disappeared into the Jamaican night. The 8 men who escaped were no minor cases. Alongside Kirkie, there was Javon Sims, 25, from Copperwood, St. James, also held for murder. Kenneth Stewart, 30, from Beacon Hill, St. Catherine, also held for murder. Demar Williams, 29, from Gravel Heights in Spanish Town, St. Catherine, held for shooting with intent. Then there was Oral Cale, Alric Hutchinson, Richard Brown, and Dean Simpson, all facing serious charges of their own. This was not a group of men who had been picked up for petty offenses. These were 8 high-risk prisoners, and somehow they had all just walked out of a police station lockup that was meant to hold them. The fallout was immediate and severe. The entire leadership of the St. Elizabeth Police Division was removed. Superintendent Kenneth Chin, who had been the divisional commander, was transferred to the Jamaica Constabulary Forces Area 5 headquarters. His administrative officer was transferred to Westmoreland. The operations officer was moved to the Kingston East Police Division. 2 members of the constabulary were interdicted pending further investigation. Deputy Superintendent Coleridge Minto was brought in immediately as the new commanding officer. Police commissioner level attention was once again focused on St. Elizabeth, and the Independent Commission of Investigations launched its own probe into how this had been allowed to happen. Prime Minister Andrew Holness himself, speaking at a separate event in Balaclava, St. Elizabeth, urged the public to help recapture the men. If you have information about the whereabouts of these escapees, please present that information to the police, Holness said. The manhunt that followed was intense. One by one, most of the escapees were found. Richard Brown was captured at a bar in Buena Vista, near Myersville in St. Elizabeth, in September 2023. Kenneth Stewart was tracked down in Trial Heights, St. Catherine. In October 2023, found hiding in a dwelling with the mother of his child. She was charged with harboring a fugitive. Alric Hutchinson was found dead in September 2023. Dean Simpson was shot dead by police in Downs, Manchester, in November 2023, after he reportedly opened fire during a confrontation near a nightclub he had allegedly held up. Demar Williams was also recaptured, and in April 2026, Oral Cole, by then listed as Manchester's most wanted, was killed during a confrontation with police in South Trelawney. That left only 2 of the original 8 Black River escapees still at large, Javon Sims and Anward Hinds. Police sources had reported in the weeks after the escape that Kirkie had allegedly been spotted in the Montego Bay area, in the same communities of Flankers and Norwood in St. James, where he had long been known to frequent. 2 separate operations were reportedly conducted in those areas, including at least one at a relative's home, but Kirkie was not found. He had slipped back into the world he came from, back into the communities that had produced him and the gang he was part of, and he was moving carefully. As of February 2026, the St. Elizabeth Police Division had publicly listed Anward Hinds, otherwise called Kirkie, of Claremont, Newmarket in St. Elizabeth, Maroontown in St. James, and George Reed in Manchester, among their most wanted. The Jamaica Constabulary Force had him listed on their official wanted persons page, and still, he had not been found. What makes Kirkie's story more than just a crime story is what it reveals about the systems that surround it. An attorney who represented him pointed out that it was the very delays in the justice system, delays he said his client had complained about openly and repeatedly, that helped create the conditions for the jailbreak. A man sitting in a police lockup for 8 years without trial is a man with every reason to look for a way out. At the same time, the lockup that held him was overcrowded, understaffed, and clearly not equipped to hold men of that risk level. One guard for more than 60 prisoners, metal bars that could be cut through with the right tool, a ventilation system that became an escape route. Every one of those failures was known long before June 19th, 2023, and yet 4 farmers murdered on a Wednesday night in Ginger Hill still have not seen a day of justice in court. Somewhere out there, Anward Kirkie Hines is still walking around, whether he is in the hills of St. James, the streets of Montego Bay, or somewhere else entirely. No one who is willing to say has said. The police are still looking. The community of Ginger Hill, St. Elizabeth, has not forgotten the night 4 of their own were shot dead over a domino game and a refusal to bow to extortionists. And the families of Ezra Wright, Archibald Brown, George Brown, and Morris Sanderson are still waiting.